We start the show today by congratulating the Regina Red Sox, who are now the WCBL East Division champions. Last night, they beat the Saskatoon Berries 6-2 in front of over 2,300 fans in Saskatoon to win their series 2-1. Chris Spry pitched 5 innings and picks up the win. Raphael Jackson and Brady Bai each had 2 hits and 3 RBIs to lead the team offensively. Now, the Red Sox have their sights set on the Sylvan Lake Gulls in the WCBL final. Game 1 will go tomorrow night right here in Regina, Curry Field. First pitch, 7 o'clock. Then games 2 and 3 will be played in Sylvan Lake on Friday and Saturday. You have to tip your cap to Gary Brotzel and Raipo Thakos with what they've done with this team this year and the roster upheaval that they had in about mid-July. Hats off, guys. Way to go. The whole city, all of Southern Saskatchewan, is proud of you. Hey, welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Sports Cage. It's Maz in for Barney. We're talking sports for the next 3 hours, and we're not doing it without you. A couple ways to get involved with the show. 866-767-0620. That's a phone call. We still take those free of charge. How about a text? 306-936-6262 on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. The Sports Cage is for our partner on a Wednesday, Regina Motor Products. The RMP summer offer is on until August 31st. You can get a $25 SOE gift card with the purchase of a vehicle health check and oil change. Visit RMP today. I'm feeling good. I got a phone call about half hour ago. The repair guy is coming to look at the ice maker and the fridge tomorrow. It's fantastic. Anywhere between 1 and 4, which usually, and we know this, when it comes time to these windows and when stuff gets fixed, 1 and 4 could mean 1 and 9. Doesn't matter. Making ice cubes like we grew up in Saskatchewan in the 70s and 80s, the kids just aren't into in 2025. They do not get the process and the work that it takes to make 5 trays of ice cubes. We've had some discussions. We've had some disagreements. We've had meltdowns. Kids making ice in this day and age? No. I didn't even know anybody growing up that was rich enough to have an ice water fridge. That was rare. Same with air conditioning. The kids can't believe that either. Hey, we've got a busy show today. Hall of Famer Nik Lewis is going to join us just after 4 o'clock. 15-year CFL career. 2 Grey Cups? I would have loved him. Even 1 season as a Rider. I want to ask him if that was ever close. He played the bulk of his career with the Stamps, and then he played, 3 or 4 years with the Alouettes to round things out. Man, when he was on, there was nobody better. Erin Stankewich from the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame is going to join us. So the Labor Day Classic coming up is the 75th. The Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame, I don't know where. They have footage of the first one, and they're making a big deal about it. She'll explain. It's a very interesting story. Ticats play-by-play voice Rick Zamperin will join us after 5. Ticats in town Saturday. Riders, 1 o'clock, Mosaic Stadium. And we go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas. Day 2 of practice, Dave. And how are things at Mosaic? What was going on the field today?
Well, it was kind of more of the same from yesterday in the fact that there weren't really any changes. Now, Mike Rose didn't participate. I did see him around the facility, so not really concerned that he'll miss the game. But again, that's just me judging a guy walking around. But again, it was crisp. There's some intricacies in the performance today and some things that we maybe hadn't seen a little bit from the Rough Riders and some different usage of players in different spots. But par for the course, I would suggest. Sean Bain Jr. was perhaps the most active and the most notable guy that is still coming back from, of course, that knee injury. He was trying out a knee brace today, while on the other sideline, away from the fans and the media, Thomas Bertrand-Houdans was running some sprints on the far side, which is indeed a good thing to see him doing that, as he is on, of course, the 6-game injured list after a strong start to the campaign.
I know the Riders have only played 8 games, and we're kind of 9 weeks in. But just hearing the name Thomas Bertrand-Houdans, doesn't it seem like a lifetime ago that he was injured and out of the lineup because of the games they've played and all the other players that have filled in? Like, I'm trying to think back to that week 2 Hamilton game when we went on the road and won 28-23. That could be 5 years ago, not 8 weeks ago.
It certainly doesn't seem like it was last night by any stretch of the imagination, and we've had Kadeem Carey come in and out of the lineup since. So yeah, it's amazing how quickly this season is going by.
Yesterday, after chatting with a rash and then with Suits, some of the comments online, and Dave, you know this, never read the comments online because the internet's not necessarily a great place. I was called a bomber apologist because it sounded like Maz is feeling bad because the Bombers are playing inconsistent. I can only imagine what it is when you're the play-by-play guy of a 7-1 football team. Everybody's in love with everything you do, so we don't got to worry about that. I'm looking forward to chatting with Rick Zamperin coming up after 5. And Dave, if anything, what we've seen from that week 2 game, the Ticat defense has gotten a lot better, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And, yesterday we kind of talked about, you're saying, oh boy, they're not household names. And the big thing and concern right now is the injuries in the backfield for the Hamilton Ticats. But Peters and Katsantonis have been held back in their practice. So we'll see whether or not the two of them can play. Of course, one being the starting corner, the other starting safety. And then, of course, you look at Talbert, you've got Casey Sales, you've got Julian Hauser along the defensive line. The Hamilton Tiger Cats defense, I think, started a little bit slowly. Don't forget they brought in a new defensive coordinator this year,
Yeah.
Brent Monson. But again, to me, I see them trending in the right direction, albeit not really having that proof in the pudding as far as the statistics are concerned.
Monson and Mace come from that Calgary coaching tree with Huff and Dickinson, and there's a lot of similarities in their defense. And now that they're playing well, it's the Monson Mace matchup on Saturday that I'm looking forward to be like, all right, who's going to get the better of who? Because they both call a great game and have a great scheme.
Yeah, you're right. And the one thing I'm excited for is, you hear in the CFL who's going to have the ball last, right? How many times do you hear that terminology? Well, this time, who's going to make the big defensive stop first is what I think we're looking at. And two offenses that are dynamic have proven that they can move the ball. And the one number that jumped off the page today at me was, we always talk about Bo Levi Mitchell and his want to go deep. You realize the Saskatchewan Roughriders have actually thrown more deep passes from Trevor Harris this year than Bo Levi Mitchell has, and maybe that's a sign of what he's become as a quarterback. But this is going to be a matchup to see which defense leaves what out on the field for the opposition to take advantage of.
I'm thinking whatever the betting lines are, don't take the under. If it works out that way, that's one thing. But like last week, that game with BC, it was what, 43-42? No, what was it? What did the final score end up being?
46 point deficit. Yeah.
Oh, 41-38. And I'm like, all right, 79 points. Yeah, I don't know what the lines are, but I probably wouldn't take the under. But it's funny because that's Bo's old MO. Everybody just assumes, but unless you say that stat, I don't think of Trevor Harris and the Mark Mueller offense. Like, we watch it happen, but that's not what they're tagged with. Because when you have AJ Ouellette running the ball, well, they're a run first team. Well, maybe not. It's the run is set. It seems like, Dave, the run is setting up the pass.
Absolutely. Look at all the play action that the Rough Riders run and that run pass option that they run as well. So really, as long as the running game can move, the team is okay. And the Riders have the second most balanced offensive set in the entire Canadian Football League. So that is such a huge plus for Mark Mueller, knowing that his entire playbook is open all of the time. Now, conversely, the number that jumps off is 72%. 72% of the time, the Saskatchewan Roughriders defense are going to be facing a pass. So, yes, they've given up a lot of pass yardage, but nobody wants to run the ball against them or can run the ball against them. So, you bring up a great point in the fact that the running game for both teams could be pretty key in this one to see who comes out on top.
What's the over-under on runs by the Hamilton offense on Saturday? I'm going to go under 13. Because there's been games where they ran it 8 times. The prob 10, they're going to have to try and do it, but a crazy number could be, I'm just picking 13 out of the air because they don't do it. They fake play action. They're just, we're going to pretend we just ran that, and I'm going to fake play action, and I'm just going to throw the ball.
Well, it's interesting if you break down their rushing attempts, right? There's a lot of short yardage attempts that are in there as well, which kind of bolsters that. The interesting part is that, of course, Malani Litre started the year as a fullback, right? And the short yardage guy that was
Yeah,
operating things, but he's been nicked up the last couple of weeks. So it's been
I
Jake
know.
Delagala that's been operating short yardage. So it'll be interesting. But again, if you want to pick an over under, I would say that probably a good bet would be at 10, maybe 10 and a half.
You're okay, so you're going 10. I'm going to go 13 because to me that's an offensive explosion for a Hamilton Ticat run game. And
Yeah,
5 of those are going to be Dolagalas. 5 of those are going to be Dolagalas. Watch that.
well,
So
watch out, Greg Bell, though. He's going to come in here. And again, I have got so much respect for him as a running back. If you watch his body of work and just his ability to see the field, he's a great running back. He just hasn't got the football yet.
I wonder if Bo has to talk to him on the side and be like, "Hey, I promise this series, man, at least once we're gonna get you at least once a quarter. Okay, just stay ready, stay with me, my friend." We're like, and it's funny because what was it? I'm flipping pages here. I'm going through my notes. Peter Borsch of the Regina Thunder on the weekend had 310 yards rushing. That is not a page out of the Scott Milanovic playbook.
No, definitely isn't. And it's actually funny. That wasn't a franchise record. A franchise record for the Regina Thunder was 390 yards rushing in a game. So you were 80 yards off. Like you weren't even close at 310.
I always, if I'm the quarterback, to be like, what's wrong with me? Why won't they let me throw? Come on. Hey, guys, what? Call a pass play. Big news in the CFL today. McLeod Bethel Thompson on the 6-game injured list. The Montreal Alouettes bring in Cameron Dukes, who was cut by the Argos during training camp. I thought they just benched McLeod Bethel Thompson. I didn't realize he was hurt last week.
Well, he did end the game on with ice pack on the elbow, right? So he came out at halftime, ice pack on the elbow. So yeah, I don't think he was pulled necessarily because of the injury, and maybe I'm wrong. It could have been a situation where he couldn't continue, but I truly believe that Caleb Evans was the guy that was just handed the ball. We need something to go on offense here, take the ball and run. And now he's got an opportunity, and this is kind of make or break at time, I would suggest, for the young man, because he's had opportunities to run the offense. He's had people pass him like Davis Alexander on the Alouettes depth chart. Now he's got an opportunity, and that's all you ask for, right?
Could you imagine being a quarterback in the Canadian Football League, like a Cameron Dukes? It's funny. One play, next thing you're out of the league, now you're back in the league. And it could be one play, and next thing you know, you're the starting quarterback of the Montreal Alouettes, and you've had he may get in one practice. Because the Alouettes this week, who they play? They're playing Edmonton, aren't they?
They are absolutely Friday night.
BC on Saturday.
Pardon me, Edmonton's got Toronto.
Yeah, BC. Right. Edmonton's got Toronto and BC on Saturday. I wonder if he gets in the game. Like, I wonder if, because keep in mind, Jason Moss to me is the guy that's crazy enough and confident enough because he's a quarterback himself to be like, all right, we got 3 things for you. All right, we're going to do this, this, and this. Because if Evans struggles against the Lions, do you just ride that out or do you have to try and win to keep pace? That's the hard part now because we're in the meat of the schedule.
See, I was trying to follow the familiarity, right? So you line up because, of course, sometimes, okay, so who do you know and who trusts you, who knows you, right? And who's bringing you in? And with Cameron Dukes, there are some ties, but there's none that are like jumping off the page at you when it comes to Montreal. But I think the thing that does jump off the page is the potential. I don't think there's any way that he learns the playbook in a week. I think that this is an opportunity to come in and bring somebody in for just the absolute worst case scenario, to have a third guy on your roster and then give him a chance and see how he progresses. Because I'll be truthful, like last year he was given the opportunity. The Toronto Argonauts saw something in him. Ryan Dinwiddie, again, I've got all the respect in the world for him as a coach and the way that he's able to evaluate talent. And I was surprised when they let Cameron Dukes go, but then I thought to myself, okay, they got a young guy in behind Nick Arbuckle. So maybe what they're thinking is that, okay, maybe somebody else will pick him up, right? And they're not hoping for that, but I was surprised that no one did. I thought for sure,
me too,
especially with Drew Brown going down a couple of times in Ottawa, I wasn't going to be surprised if I heard that the Red Blacks were calling. But it's an opportunity for Cameron Dukes, and like I say, I trust the evaluation that others have seen in him, and I think he can do it. He just needs more experience to get there.
I thought that the Alouettes might have done it the first time Davis Alexander got injured. For the simple fact, if it is a hamstring, because when you saw Alexander injure it the second time, anytime he's going to take off now, that hamstring can go. And it's just like, oh no, now what do we do? It's a great situation that we as Rider fans are in, knowing Trevor Harris is healthy, and we have a room full of people behind Trevor, just ready, waiting, and able, if needed, if called, to go. Because last year at this time, we were that team going, okay, so what do we got in our backups? What do we got? A third string, potentially, if that doesn't go, like you were game planning to game plan for your backup quarterback, as opposed to just being able to focus on the team. And whether anybody would ever publicly admit that, you don't wish it on anybody else, but you sure are happy that it's not happening to you.
But isn't it funny how fickle things are, right? One play can change an entire outcome and projection course, right, for a team.
Saturday forecast looks good. 25 degrees and sunny. That's perfect football weather. As we're kind of getting into mid-August, that's dog days. We could say that's dog days, right? Like we're mid-August 16th, dog days.
I've heard that before, but I did hear something very interesting today, and don't ask me why I was hanging around outside the Rough Riders ticket office at Mosaic Stadium, but the entire upper deck is completely opened up, and the tickets are moving quickly. Like it has been a brisk day as people are getting pretty excited about this matchup on a Saturday afternoon. So if you're coming, I wouldn't delay. I would give them a call and get your seats secured, because like I say, it was a busy place down that way today.
I think I saw online there's less than 2,000 seats.
That would require me counting and or doing research, neither of which I did. So
it's funny. It's funny. Winning cures a lot of stuff. Classic example, and I'll flip this to baseball for a second. Dave, have you heard anybody complain about the Blue Jays front office in the past 3 months? No, you haven't. Why? Because they're winning and they're in first place. Nobody cares who's running the Blue Jays right now, because the Blue Jays and what they're doing on the field is doing all the talking. And it's nice to see. With Hamilton coming to town, you're going to have Bo Levi Mitchell. You're going to have, and Arash posed the question yesterday, is how are you going to cover Kenny Lawler? Can you play a man? Like, what do you do? He thought that's the big story for Saturday, is how can you scheme against Kenny Lawler? While you may do something for him, the weapons around Kenny that Bo has to use, him as a decoy is just as dangerous sometimes as him going up for a 50-50 ball.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you look at Kenny Lawler's numbers. Yes, they've slowed down since the start of the season, but you're right. A lot of the teams going back in film have started double teaming and double covering him, and or even shadowing him from the line of scrimmage. And those are all great ideas to have, but you do that and you're going to leave Keandre Smith, the Shamar Bridges open. You're going to, again, there's so many different weapons that Bo Levi has had. And I think even early in the year that Bo Levi was really specifically targeting Kenny Lawler. And one of the transformations that Bo Levi has made is that, hey, you know what? I know he's out there, but with guys on him, I don't need to throw it into traffic. There has to be someone open somewhere else. And he's exhibiting some patience that perhaps he hasn't exhibited before, or as much of, in his career, which is making him such a threat this year. And you're right, Kenny Lawler just out there running, that's going to draw the eyes of the defense for sure.
It seemed like the first 3 games, every second down that Hamilton had, Bo was looking for Kenny Lawler. And he was able to find him sometimes. Kenny had some drops that were kind of uncharacteristic. And then when he started kind of spreading it around, like, it's funny, they became a little more dangerous and not as one-dimensional. The thing with Bo is, like we chatted yesterday, they make themselves one-dimensional because they're not much of a run game. And if you hope as a Rider fan, please go one-dimensional and just try and go Lawler. And if we can stop that, but that's the evolution that we saw. Coming up on the show just after 4 o'clock, CFL Hall of Famer Nik Lewis is going to join us. And Dave, you've been watching CFL for a long time. Was he not one of your, although he was never a Rider, he was one of my favorite receivers in the CFL. Just how he played the game. He was so good and so tough.
He was one of the first physical receivers in the CFL before it was cool to be a physical receiver. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm a Rider fan through and through. I couldn't cheer for him, but I could admire the work that he did. And
Hmm.
just him being involved in the blocking scheme for the running game, I think really was kind of a trendsetter because before that, the receivers really didn't get their hands dirty a lot. But Nik Lewis showed them that it was cool to do that. And then he proved that it was pretty cool to run over somebody too when he had the football in his hands.
Oh, man. When he would, like, once again, like you, Rider fan, not a Stamps fan. Stamps used to kill us all the time. But when you would see Nik Lewis run over some poor 175-pound DB that just and not just lightly put them down, like mow them down without apology, and then just keep on going. I always wondered, I'm like, even if it was just for a year in the twilight, Nik Lewis in a Rider uniform for me would have been like, all right, 71 touchdowns, 13,778 yards. That's why he's in the CFL Hall of Fame. 1,000 receptions. Oh, he was so good and so dominant. But when you think back, those teams, those were battles against the Riders. Because look at the receive when Lewis was doing it at a high level for the Stamps. Like we had the Getzlaffs and the Fantuses and the Dresslers, and we had guys like that going up against like the Lewises and let's see, who were some of those other Calgary receivers that they had at the time? Mark Way McDaniel was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, it was a battle every game, and he just separated himself. So I'm looking forward to chatting with him. And then this Erin Stankewich from the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame that's going to join us. So the 75th Labor Day Classic is coming up. Isn't it crazy that they have it's footage from the first one, correct, Dave? Like this is where this all stemmed from, the archives. And
Yeah.
hey, anybody want to see the first Labor Day Classic?
Yeah,
Okay, sure.
that's really cool. And the thing that I don't know if you ever been to the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. I used to drive by it all the time when I was younger, and then last year I actually stopped in, and I'm like, this is some cool stuff. So the things that they've archived are pretty cool because you're not obviously going to find them anywhere else, but things that you wouldn't think of if you're a curling aficionado. Of course, you've heard of the Turner Curling Museum down in Weyburn, hometown plug, but also there's a great stack of memorabilia from the world of curling. The old Regina Pats jerseys are in there. It's pretty cool. So just saying, it's a cool spot to visit, and putting this out for the 75th anniversary of the Labor Day Classic is going to be neat. And I know Rob Vanstone is involved in going through some of the history of the game and the rivalry. It should be a good time.
I'm going to take you to task. I know you just gave Weyburn a shout out. We still have not recovered from your comment. Was that a few weeks ago, or was that late June, about the quality of schooling you got in the Weyburn public school system, that they did not teach you how to speak French? We're still not over that. There is no home of Dave Thomas going on the Weyburn sign if the Riders win the Grey Cup this year. What? No.
No.
Listen, you have got some makeup work to do there, my friend. All right. On the show today, we're going to hear from Joe Robustelli, Tavon Campbell, Marcus Sales, and Coach Corey Mace. He is voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas. Hey, if you've seen it in your social media feeds, because it's part of the algorithm, Dave, this insider newsletter, give us the rundown, and why do we need to sign up at sportscage.com? Tell us how our lives as sports fans get better once we connect you with an email address.
Well, when you go to sportscage.com, first of all, you can sign up to become an insider, and every day in your inbox, you will get the very latest news out of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So who's in, who's out, who's hurt, the stories that we're following, plus sports from around the province, whether it's hockey, whether it's lacrosse, whether it's basketball, baseball. We've got all the leagues in our province covered in one convenient spot, and you don't have to go anywhere to get it. It comes right to your phone while you're on it. And once you've signed up, you're in for all of the great ways to win, including tickets to see the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and you could have dinner with a very famous fellow in Jeremy Roenick. I don't know if I was allowed to say any of that, but I'll tell you that get signed up now so that you get all the details on that. Just go to sportscage.com.
Dave Thomas with breaking news. I am not on a lot of emails. Maybe I am. I maybe have missed the Jeremy Roman. That's pretty cool. One thing about JR, if you go to dinner, he may not hold back. He may tell you exactly what's on his mind. There's no filter there. All right, it's time to take our first break on the show. And don't forget that this Saturday, Riders and Ticats, that means the 620 CKRM Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network has countdown to kickoff Saturday starting at 10, the Rider pregame show at noon. And Dave and Luke will have the call, Riders and Ticats, right here on the home of Rider Nation. Kickoff will go at 1 o'clock on 620 CKRM. So you think you're so smart, don't you? SaskTel picks the scores exactly for you, Rider fan. Who wins on Saturday between the Riders and the Ticats? All you got to do is tell us your first and last name, the score, and you can have a chance to win tickets to the Labor Day Classic to watch the Riders take on the Bombers and a SaskTel gift card valued at $200. Text us your prediction to 306-936-6262. You can do that all throughout the show. It's Maz here, and over the past 24 hours, if you've been paying attention to the internet, one thing is happening when it comes to sports. Now, you might not like it. You might not like her, but she moves the needle. And the needle that she's moving is a needle that's owned by some famous people already. But the Taylor Swift effect on sports is real. A lot of us don't care to see her every third shot in a Kansas City Chiefs game. But as long as Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are dating, that's probably going to be a fact of life. So it was teased back on Monday that Taylor was going to be on the New Heights podcast. That's Jason and Travis's podcast they've been doing for 3 or 4 years. It's quite good. It's funny. It's entertaining. It's good on its own. It has its own legs to stand on, and it has its own fan base. But then the Taylor Swift announcement happened, and then the internet kind of melted down. So here is, the episode's live now. Here is Jason Kelce's intro of Taylor coming on the podcast yesterday.
Our guest today is a singer, songwriter, and producer and director from Nashville, Tennessee. That's bullshit. She is from Reading, Pennsylvania. She is the most awarded artist in the history of the American Music Awards, Billboard Music Awards, and iHeart Radio Music Awards.
Yeah, damn.
She has 14 Grammy Awards. And as a fan of that guy on the Chiefs, she has 19 wins, 2 AFC titles, and a Super Bowl. 92%ers. Are you ready for it? Making her podcasting debut, the most aggressive guest in the history of shows, Taylor Swift!
That intro, Jason. Oh my God.
I've seen this before.
No,
He's
look,
about to
his
black
soul
out.
has left his body.
I'm cramping. I'm cramping.
No, that was so good. Thank
seen this
you.
before.
I tried, Tay.
Thank
I
you for
tried.
screaming for like 47 seconds. That was so nice. That was so
Tay,
sweet.
welcome to New Heights.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on my favorite podcast.
See, and I was worried about that. And Colson, how come you don't do any intros like that for me or Barney? I would love to. You're a low-key guy, but you, listen, this is showbiz.
We already have a big voice guy on the Sports Cage. He's pre-recorded, does it all, does a great job of it. I don't want to step into his niche.
This is for clicks, likes, and follows. All right, that's the business that we're in these days. Now, maybe you don't dig the Taylor Swift thing, but here, we're going to play the second part in a second of this. This is why I kind of don't mind Taylor Swift, because she gets it. She knows she's annoying to sports fans. She didn't ask for this. It's just what the world is putting on her. Like she is her own thing. She has her own orbit, but I'm glad that she gets it, because there's a lot of celebrities out there that don't kind of see when someone's poking in the ribs. So play this second part here. This is the best part for me.
As we all know, you guys have a lot of male sports fans that listen to your podcast. And I think we all know that if there's one thing that male sports fans want to see in their spaces and on their screens, it's more of me.
Self-awareness.
Okay. And not enough of that these days, right, Colson?
Exactly.
So here, throw up this graphic. So the Taylor Swift effect, if you're wondering what this does, because you would think the Kelsey brothers are really, really popular. Like, what was it? In last year, let me just a second here. So last year, or in the last month, the New Heights podcast on Instagram, they picked up 2,000 new followers on Instagram. That's pretty good. Like, okay, so if you're an average person, if I got 2,000 Instagram followers, by the way, at McFly, that would be awesome. In the past 48 hours since it was announced that she was coming on the show, they got 312,817 new Instagram followers. Wow.
Anytime you can have a 15,000% increase in the span of a couple days, that's something worth investing in right there.
Colson, how many meetings have we all sat through where we've gone through the Twitter numbers, the Instagram numbers, the Facebook number, YouTube? I've never heard anybody come out with, even when people were lying about it, a 15,000% bump in the numbers.
Yeah, the only time you hear numbers like that is when a literal penny stock went from a penny to $1, which even that is still, what, 1,000% increase, if I'm getting my numbers right? So, like, that's ridiculous.
So the Taylor Swift effect is real. Even for her famous boyfriend, there's always room for improvement. And I'm wondering, because she was on there, I think she showed an album cover that may be her new album cover.
Yeah,
I only listened to a part of the show. Yeah, I've seen some clips. I haven't gone and had a chance to listen through to the whole show. She is pretty smart. She's keen. She's a super savvy business person.
Mm-hmm.
She gets it. Now,
and if I remember correctly, she's the first musician to become a billionaire solely off of their music. Because like Beyonce, Jay-Z, all of them are billionaires, but that's from all their labels, from their brands, all their other things, right? I think, if I remember correctly, she's the first to become it solely through her music and stuff. Yeah. So just from that, she's already savvy as a musician and as a businesswoman. And now to do this, to draw up even more attention.
It's funny that you mentioned Beyonce, because she's a country album. She's getting nominated. She is not country. She shouldn't be nominated for any of that stuff. And that pisses me off as a country music fan to be like, no, there's nothing country about you. Doesn't matter that you're dancing around like a rodeo cowgirl in a video with a hat on. I mean, absolutely nothing. So speaking of people that don't get it, no self-awareness. This is, I think, just the perfect encapsulation of what corporate life is these days. So yesterday on Instagram, I saw somebody from the Carolina Hurricanes. They basically outed themselves. Somebody from their social team posted an email from one of the executives in the Carolina Hockey Club to be like, hey, I hear there's a lot of chatter online about Taylor Swift. Maybe we should reach out to her to see if she can help us this season.
Oh yeah, it's that easy.
Basically the caption is like, thanks, bro. We appreciate that, Captain Obvious.
Thanks for the idea. We'll workshop this. Man. If it was just so easy enough to email people to get them to come on your show.
Yeah. So, it's funny. If you're watching Chiefs games, could you imagine in the Tom Brady era when they were winning all of those Super Bowls, if there was that? Because people hate the Patriots were polarizing. You love them if you're a Pats fan, but most people learn to hate the Patriots just cause. Could you imagine, along with Brady winning and Belichick winning all the time, you would have the Taylor Swift effect? Luckily for the Chiefs, they've only won the one Super Bowl. They lost the other. But could you imagine if you would have piled on the Brady and the Swift? Wow. That would have, people's heads would have exploded.
Especially over 20 years. Like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about it.
The one person who I thought probably really appreciates Taylor Swift taking the spotlight off, because him and Jim Nantz do a lot of Chiefs games, is Tony Romo. No one's complaining about Tony's color color play-by-play call because Taylor Swift is there. Roman was probably like, thanks, Taylor. I owe you one. So that's the New Heights podcast. And it's good. It's a good show. If you've never listened before, they do a really good job. Go back a couple of seasons. They interview Julian Edelman. It's one of the funniest episodes out there because Julian Edelman's Bill Belichick impression is one of the best. It's spot on. It's so good. And speaking of podcasts, like and follow the SportsCage podcast, which is out about an hour or two after the show each day. And speaking of our Instagram, what's our at SportsCage? Yeah, give us a follow.
At SportsCage. At the underscore SportsCage.
Yeah. Listen, if Colson does not have a report next Monday in our management meeting that shows 15,000% growth, Colson. Listen, I love working with you. Hey, let's catch up sometime. This has been great. Good luck with your landlord and getting your backyard paved. Let us know how it goes. We'll go from there.
Yeah, I don't think that's an achievable target, but I will do my best.
All right. Time to take a break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Saskatchewan Roughrider head coach Corey Mace as the Riders are preparing for the Ticats on Saturday at Mosaic Stadium. We'll hear what the coach had to say with Dave Thomas. This is the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM. WCBL playoffs, the Regina Red Sox will play the Sylvan Lake Gulls in the WCBL final. Game 1 tomorrow night, Curry Field in Regina. First pitch will go at 7. Games 2 and 3, if needed, will be in Sylvan Lake. Tonight, the Jays play the Cubs. First pitch goes at 5. Last night, the Jays beat those Cubs 5-1. The Montreal Alouettes have placed McLeod Bethel Thompson on the 6-game injured list and signed former Argos QB Cameron Dukes. On the ice at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, Canada beat Czechia 5-0. And at the Canada Summer Games in Newfoundland, Saskatchewan has one medal. Leo Zhang picked up a gold in the 50-meter backstroke. We're playing SaskTel Pick the Score. 306-936-6262, Prairie Land Rentals text line. Tell us, who do you think wins on Saturday between the Riders and the Ticats? Send us your first and last name. Devin Bryan says Riders 31, Ticats 28. Yeah, I think there could be some points put up here. Chatting with Dave Thomas earlier, I don't know. We'll find the lines here, but the under may be in trouble. There could be a lot of offense there. I may even go, I'm thinking 37-33, maybe a 39-35 Riders, just cause. And maybe it's a shootout like last week where it doesn't start right away. Maybe it's a second half thing after a little bit of feeling out. It was day 2 at Mosaic Stadium for practice, and Dave Thomas had a chance to catch up with Saskatchewan Roughrider head coach Corey Mason. This is what he had to say about his trip.
Well, Coach, the countdown to the Hamilton Tiger Cats is on this weekend. One thing's for sure, they've got a dynamic offense that starts with their passing game, number 2 in yards per game thus far this season. So taking that into account, is this game this week perhaps more important than any other where your defensive line and secondary are working complementary to one another?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's crucial. It's crucial every week, honestly. But, obviously, what those guys have been able to do, connecting together, to this point in the season. We're talking about, one of the best receivers in the league, even before he got there, matched with a future Hall of Famer, right? So you would imagine that's going to be pretty good. But obviously, if we can get the timing off, with the pressure, and then cover down, have eyes on 89. And even then, sometimes he's going to trust his guy. He's going to put it up there. So it's up to us to capitalize on those opportunities.
From the outside looking in, it looks like Marcus Sales is going to have a big job this weekend in trying to shut down Kenny Lawler. What is it about Sales and his skill set that makes that matchup a good one for you?
Yeah, super competitive, man. If you get a chance to hear him on game days, he's totally locked in. Obviously, his ability to go up and get the ball, but his catch radius, it's not just in the air. Anywhere he can run underneath it, go get it. He's got quiet feet on the sidelines if he needs to make a good catch, keep his toes inbounds. He's a heck of a receiver, man. And all the credit that guy he gets, he deserves it.
The Regina Red Sox are going to play for the league championship. They just called you, though, and they need a pinch hitter. Which one of your guys are you sending in to pinch hit?
I don't know. I wouldn't say anybody, truthfully, but the rumors has it that Joe Robustelli played some baseball in his time. I can't confirm that, so I'm just going to say Joe, but I don't know. I don't know.
So the kid was a UPS driver, a football player, and a baseball player? What can't that Robustelli do? That's Coach Mace. Colson, listen, if you're an analytics geek, I'm going to say don't check the stats after Saturday. Because if Bo Levi and that Hamilton receiving core puts up a big number on the Riders, let's say it's over 400 yards, and we win, we got to go with a win's a win's a win. We know we give up yards, but we bend, don't break, right? So let's say it's 450 to Bo Vi, but we win. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I thought you were taking this. Where's the parlay to bet on Joe Robustelli 1.5 RBIs and a touchdown? That's where I thought you were going with that. But
is everything about this in this show about gambling and kids and problems at home with appliances and other random things? Yeah, well, yeah, that's a lot of themes we cover on a daily basis around here. Week 11 in the CFL kicks off tomorrow night. Ottawa at Winnipeg. If you're Winnipeg, is this a must win for Winnipeg, Colson? They're 4-5.
I think it's more of a must not lose.
So must win then. I'll take that.
Yeah, it's. Hey, I'm looking at it more of the way of like, if it comes down to a fluke and they lose, you're kind of like, hey, that's not on us. There was some bad weather. There was a fumble or two that are like, okay, that was a freak accident, whatever. Basically what I'm saying is, like with Hamilton's loss to BC, it was a competitive game that came down to one play that was a little bit out of their control. So they still feel pretty good after that game. If Winnipeg plays a game like that, sure, they'll be kicking themselves, but I think they'll be fine. Whereas if Ottawa shows up and takes it to them, then you're kind of like, well, what are we doing here? This is Ottawa.
Colson, you may not remember this, but you sound a lot like Henry Burris after he defected Saskatchewan and went and signed with the Stamps. And then when we beat him, he wouldn't say that he lost to the Riders. It's just that they didn't win against the Riders. So there's a lot of doublespeak there. Hey, hats off Bomber fans. As someone who's been called an apologist and is wearing blue today, another sellout. If Bomber fans are so desperate for a night out in Las Vegas, they will go see the Ottawa Redblacks. Good on you. Friday, Toronto at Edmonton. Ugh. Hamilton Sask game one of the doubleheader Saturday with a 1:00 kickoff, and then the afternoon cap to that. Montreal at BC. BC wins again. They get on a little bit of a roll. It'll be interesting. So don't forget, Sastel picked the score throughout the show. All right, time to take another break. When we come back after the top of the hour, a CFL Hall of Famer is going to join the show. Nik Lewis will be on the Sports Cage, right here on the home of Rider Nation, 620 CKRM. Back for another hour of the show. How are you? This is the Sports Cage on CKRM, the hottest ticket in town. WCBL final tomorrow night, Regina Red Sox, Sylvan Lake Gulls, Game 1, 7 o'clock Curry Field tomorrow night. They had 1,700 the other night against the Berries. I can only imagine how many people will be jamming in tomorrow night at Curry. Going to be a decent night for ball. Some sun, some cloud, about 23 degrees at first pitch. If you're looking for tickets, ReginaRedSox.com. If you want to be part of the show today, you can. You can text us, Prairieland Rentals text line 306-936-6262, or you can call 1-866-767-0620. It's Maz here. We got a busy show still to come. Rick Zamperin, the voice of the Hamilton Ticats, will join us. Riders and Ticats, Saturday, 1 o'clock at Mosaic Stadium. The 620 CKRM Cooperators Rider broadcast has countdown to kickoff starting Saturday morning at 10. We'll have the Rider Nation pregame show at noon. Dave and Luke will have the call with kickoff at 1. And when the Riders play, you can get the KFC Game Day Special with the Big Crunch for $4.95 and the Big Crunch Combo for $7.95 at participating KFC locations. Also coming up on the show, Erin Stankewich from the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame will be on in about a half hour's time to talk about a project they've been working on, all about the Labor Day Classic, Riders and Bombers, and going back to the first one. All right, it's time to talk a little football with one of my favorite players. Although he was never a Rider, you kind of cheered for him just because of the way he played. CFL Hall of Famer. He had a 15-year career. He won 2 Grey Cups, 1,051 receptions, 13,778 yards, and 71 touchdowns with the Stamps and the Alouettes. He's also been a coach in the CFL with the BC Lions and the Calgary Stampeders. On the Western Pizza Guest Hotline, we welcome in Nik Lewis. Nick, how are you? Thanks for doing this.
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Not bad at all. So, 1,000 receptions, 13,000 yards, 71 touchdowns. That's a lot. Is there one of those touchdowns that stands out in your mind that is just etched in there that won't go away?
My first one at Taylor Field, my first game. I caught a ball on the out route for a touchdown. I went and hit the goalpost. I bounced off the goalpost like Ric Flair with my 1, 2, 3 and my woo. That's my first ever celebration in the CFL. So I'll always remember that one.
Who was the quarterback that threw you that touchdown?
Marcus Crandall.
Marcus Crandall spent some time with the Riders. Nice.
Yep.
Nice. There's a lot of talk about your former quarterback, Bo Levi Mitchell, who we'll get to in a second. Nick, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on is always respected you as a player, but I love your commentary now on the CFL. We're 10 weeks into the season. What do you make of it so far? Because you've played, you've coached. Where are we at with you as far as the 2025 version of what's happening on the field?
I like what a lot of teams are doing. A lot of plays are being made, a lot more than years past. And, I've been pretty open about the game changing 11 years ago when they changed the rules of pass interference. And it just takes away so many big play opportunities. And you watch games where teams will go 2 and out, 2 and out, 2 and out, drive, 2 and out, 2 and out, 2 and out, drive. And it kind of gets mundane sometimes because you want to see some big plays. But you don't see big plays unless somebody's going to make a mistake or somebody can get in a second and short, create a man-to-man opportunity because the run game is a possibility, and then they're taking shots down the field. So, Calgary hasn't really made the big play since Alford's been out those last couple of weeks. So it's really affected their offense on getting the ball down the field that much. So, Tevin Jones made some good ones last week, but, just consistently getting down the field, it's been difficult for teams.
Now, you were a receiver, and it's not like you're ever going to feel bad for a defender. And we see this so much in the NFL and a little bit in the CFL. Are the rules slanted more towards the offense where the defensive guys are always seems to be on their heels and it's always on them for the mistakes and the penalties?
100%. If you look at the whole CFL game, it's slated towards offense. I think defense have done a great job of being able to contain offenses, keeping scores pretty low with the best teams in the league. You watch Saskatchewan's defense, you watch Calgary's defense. They keep teams pretty low scoring and create turnovers and just more scoring opportunities. It's not easy to get 10 yards and 2 downs all the time consistently. And that's why I try to explain to a lot of people, you can almost break down field position in the CFL for points. Right. And you have less than a 10% chance to score, probably less than 5% chance if you get the ball backed up inside your own 15 or 10 yard line. Not just because you can't, but it's hard to go first down, first down, first down, first down, first down. You get 5 first downs, you're still punting the ball, unless you got Castillo kicking field goals. But it's a interesting play on where teams are getting the ball, which teams create short fields for themselves to maximize points opportunity. And it's fun to just watch and see how the game plays out. I felt like so far this year, the hardest part to watch is at the end of games when the game should be at its best. Mistakes are losing games. Toronto, 11 men on the field. You got teams that's really making BC versus Montreal. Montreal's guard goes and hits 2 people late and gets a penalty. BC gets the ball near midfield and goes and scores to win the game. Right, so you're seeing bad plays at the end of games create losing situations for teams that they should have won that game.
When we have Charleston Hughes on, he talks about when he broke into the league and those teams that you guys played on with the Stamps. You never wanted to make a mistake. You never wanted to show you were hurt and have your backup come in. You never wanted to be on the field. And like you had mentioned, mistakes, discipline. Under Huff, back then, you wouldn't play, he said, if you were making those mental mistakes. Is it coaching? Is it the players? Like, where's the breakdown happening?
I think it has to do with culture and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Understanding where that line is drawn, but I think your leaders in the locker room have to set the line. I don't think coaches can really go too far and really, you can find people, you can say whatever you want to say, but at the end of the day, it becomes the players, the top players on the team, the leaders, to police the locker room and be able to drive that success forward. And one thing's changed is Huff's rule was starters play special teams. Everybody's going to play one special teams if you're a starter. And you're going to come out on offense or defense before you come out on special teams, right? It's too big of an opportunity to give up a big play. It's too big of an opportunity to not capitalize on a big play. And if you need a break, you'll take it on offense or defense. You won't take it on special teams. And to see the league now where you really don't see starters on special teams, right? It's really no starters that really play a lot of special teams. I know Tevin runs down in Calgary, which is really good, but when you see 4 or 5 receivers that don't touch the field in special teams, it's crazy. I remember Jermaine Copeland on kickoff return. I was on punt return and doing things, trying to block kicks and blocking people running down the field. So everybody bought into the system. And, if your best players are your starters, the more plays are on the field, the better you're going to be. It does leave you at risk for more injuries now, but at the end of the day, it's about winning championships.
It's funny that you say that. I don't know that I knew that. Maybe everybody else knew that Huff made everybody play special teams. There was that debate online a few weeks ago, and I can't remember after what game, talking about usually the defensive line of most teams is mostly made up of Americans, and a lot of offensive lines are made up of Canadians. And so you're getting some of the best on best, which caused that to be, and we've seen that change out, and we've seen the game change and it evolved. Is it evolved because it had to, or is it evolved because people are thinking, hey, let's try this scenario here? Was it out of necessity or creativity that we're seeing a different CFL?
Well, I just think the American defensive linemen, even for most part, the Canadian defensive linemen as well, are way more athletic. The offensive line is still the same. You get some more athletes on the O-line, but they're really the same body builds, the same, it's just a different name on the back of a jersey, but they're all about the same skill level. That really hurts the game, right? Because you're getting you're not having Joe Montford or Swag that's 260 or 250 playing. You got a Charleston Hughes at 225. You got a Sean Lemon at 230. You got these guys. Like, I look at Ottawa's line. Carter is amazing to me. He doesn't get talked about enough, and he does a lot of their work on their defensive line. Malzahn gets a lot of the Alonzo. He gets a lot of the pub, but he's just a hard worker, right? He's physical, he's strong, and he works hard, and he doesn't stop, right? Malden is his name. Sorry about that, but
Malden.
It's one of those days when you watch him play, how much better Carter is as an individual talent and how much more trouble he gives every line. If you get a strong guy in front of Malden, he'll be able to maintain it. But, Carter's just a different beast. So when you get some of these guys, it's very hard and difficult. And something else that people don't talk about, the NFL changed their rule a few years ago where you can it's no longer a 2-year practice roster. So now they're hoarding offensive linemen. Where it used to be they're on PR for 2 years, and now they're coming up here to play and playing 6 or 7 years. Now those guys are being PR guys for 5, 6 years, and by then they don't want to come up, right? So now there's a shortage of linemen, and then you get the UFL that's taking linemen, right? So now when you add a league, and then you take some of the best linemen from the NFL, some of that second-tier linemen that can come up here and do really well, they're no longer coming up because they're staying around on practice roster longer.
Nik Lewis is joining us here on the Sports Cage on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. A few weeks ago, Cody Fajardo gave up 8 sacks. And you came out on social media after the game, and it was a bit of a firestorm. And I'm like, Nick, you were great on the field, and you're great on the keyboard too. And you had said, hey, Cody takes a lot of those sacks so he doesn't kill his completion percentage. Do you want, I'll leave it at that. Do you want to expand on that? You would know better than I. Sometimes he could throw the ball away, it looks like. Maybe I don't see everything watching the game on TV. You see it differently. Explain.
Well, I look at it as, if you watch Cody early in his career, his first couple years, he had to really understand how he becomes a starting quarterback and how he stays on the field, right? And looking at the numbers that most coaches looked at, and, you got to be efficient, you got to be able to complete passes and do things. And when Cody's not an uber accurate quarterback, right? He's a great leader. He has great intangibles, and he finds a way to win games in the fourth quarter. When a game's on the line, Cody's one of those guys that you would love to have as your quarterback, because he'll scramble, he'll run, he'll do everything to win games. But the rest of the game, he doesn't have a super strong arm. People know that. And I'm not saying that the O-line is better than anybody else or worse than anybody else, but at the end of the day, he's 71% right now. If he throws those passes away, he might be in the 50s, low 60s. And then when he's in the low 60s, what are they saying? Well, Cody out here completing 62% of his passes, and now what's happening to Cody's career is he's no longer a starting quarterback, right? As long as it's a debate on whose fault it is between the O-line, the running back, or his fault, it's not purely on him. But if he's 62% completion percentage, that's on him. And I believe that's why he chooses not to throw the ball away, because I think he's found that in order for me to be a starter in this league, I have to complete passes at a higher percentage.
I instantly thought when I read that, and I was reading all the replies, somewhere along the way, when you're an agent negotiating for your client who's a quarterback, completion percentage comes in for the amount of money they're going to pay you. Are you an efficient quarterback? So I went to money first, not necessarily the explanation you gave, to be like, well, yeah, if you're a goalie, you want a good goals against average. Nobody wants to sign a guy that's got a 4.5 goals against. You want a 2.82 and a crazy save percentage.
And nobody cares if the defense gave up the goal, right? And nobody cares if your defenseman fell down and you gave up or if you had a goal, late in the game where it's a breakaway. Nobody cares about those. They don't remember. They just know the numbers.
The talk of the CFL is the renaissance or the resurgence of Bo Levi Mitchell. And I love Bo. But let's go back in time. In the Nik Lewis time machine, first impression of Bo Levi Mitchell when he showed up in Stamps camp, or your first interaction, what did you come away with when you first met Bo?
It was good. He was a fellow Texan. You could tell that he was very confident. You don't see many young quarterbacks in training camp throwing the ball down the field as much as he did, but he showcased his arm. And I was used to guys having strong arms like that with Henry Burris. And, him coming into camp, there's no two quarterbacks you'd rather be behind than Drew Tate and Kevin Glenn. One, because they're super talented quarterbacks and great quarterbacks, but two, they're selfless. Right? They took Bo under their wing. They talked to Bo, like they helped him along the process that whole way. And then having the pieces around Bo that we had with Romby Bryant, myself, and Markway McDaniel, John Cornish, and others on that offense, like it was great to be able to bring him into what we had as a core. And then nobody remembers he played a couple games in 2012, played a couple games in 2013. And then didn't start till his third year. So I believe that process of waiting, seeing the league, understanding the league, being in the same offense for multiple years before he got his starts really helped Bo. Like you could tell instantly that he had something about him that was pretty spectacular. And I mean, he's got 2 years in a row over 5,000. I don't call it resurgence. I think he just hadn't had the defense to kind of, he's a gunslinger. You need a defense to stop some late touchdowns.
Charleston's mentioned that before, that Calgary used to do that. Talking about Mike Rose, they were able to take him under their wing, for a couple of years, played specials, and just learned, where he said now the time frame is so sped up. You can't keep good guys on the sidelines anymore because guys aren't going to stick around. Everybody wants it now. But back then, yeah, I suppose a lot of people, we just think Bo Levi Mitchell came into the league, instantly was Bo from the start, not that he had to wait his 2 years. Okay, so let's get to 2014 when things do start clicking and going. Because keep in mind, I'm a Rider fan this whole time, and I'm watching this to be like, nah, this doesn't seem fair. No, he can't. And then winning game after game after game. Nick, a lot of people didn't like you guys. You were making it look too easy. And I don't know that pro sports is ever easy.
No, but if you look at it from a perspective is, everybody thinks Bo's really cocky. But if you look at the rest of us, with me and Cornish, people didn't like us very much and thought we were cocky and everything. But looking at that, Bo kind of just fit into the group, understanding that, there was a belief that he could win games. And he had proven that in the couple games that he started in 12 and 13. So to be able to go out and prove that, build that confidence, to know that you can get it done, it was a pretty special thing to watch Bo transcend into that. And then to, be a first-year starter in 2014 to go win that Grey Cup was really special.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had our moment in the sun in 2013, which led the way for you guys. You had a great career. And one of the things that I loved about you as a receiver is what you brought to the game. But then when you started trucking guys in blocking and just mowing guys down without mercy, without fail, here comes another Nik Lewis. Oh, some poor guy didn't watch tape. And there it goes. Did you always play like that? Or did something click inside you to be like, all right, you're next?
I played in the option offense in college, and when I got there, we threw the ball 14 times a game. So blocking was a way of life, and it was like, I can't just be a better receiver. I want to build a complete game. And for me, it was about a journey to find out what is the best version of me. Like, that's what I'm on a journey on. Like, I'm trying to improve different aspects of my game. What is the best version of Nik Lewis when we're on the field? And blocking is a part of it. And if you think about it, most receivers, 3% of the game, they might get the ball thrown their way. If you're lucky, 10% of the game. But the other 90%, you're running to get somebody else open or you're blocking for somebody. So having amazing receivers around me, Romby, Jermaine, and Kenyon, and Ryan Thelwell and others. And then even when I went to Montreal with Fred Stamps and S.J. Green, it's like I was blessed to have great receivers around me at all times. And for me, it was like, okay, how do you stand out? How do you become a great player? And if I'm only getting 3 balls today, I can't say, hey, I'm not great because I'm not getting the ball. That's not fair to everybody else. So I knew that my role was to be a dog, and my role was to go out there and set the tone. And the tone was physicality. The tone was, just let everybody know what type of day it was going to be. And for me, that was it was special. Because, the older guys that, when I say they're older, they were 20, Cope was 26 when I was there, and I was 22. So he was older than me, and, watching him go make plays and watching us have chances to win games was special. And then I was blessed to have some great running backs, and John Cornish and Joffrey Reynolds and Tyrell Sutton and others. So Wes Cates. And it was fun to be able to go out and block for guys like that, because I knew my block could be the block that gives them the distance.
You had a 15-year CFL career. You saw it in different modes of popularity. You played for the Stampeders when it was hard to get a seat at McMahon. 33,000 tickets would be gone and sold out. Now it's a different story. You were a player there. You were a coach there for the past couple of years. Do you think, for the Edmontons, the Calgarys, is there a way to restore the roar back for these CFL teams and have the stands full again? Or is 10 to 12,000 people going to be the norm in these big cities?
I think, one, you need a new stadium, and everybody likes experiences. We like history, but when you're going through it year after year, you like experiences. I remember times where we lost 3 home games in 2 years. So people just expected we were going to win. Oh, they're going to win anyway. But now more than ever, in that location, you got people going to the mountains more on weekends, right? More events during the week that you got to compete with now in Calgary. on weekends. Everybody's got options. They travel more, they do more. Families go camping and do things. So it's not the same thing as it was. Hey, we're going to go to Stampeders games and we might go camping one weekend. Now people are going camping for a month. They're leaving town for the whole month and they're coming back. So it's a lot more to deal with. I think the product on the field is you need a winning team to create that aura. As you get closer to the playoffs, you'll see fans starting to come in more. Now that school's going to be going back in the next month around Labor Day, you should be able to see an uptick in fans a little bit. But I think you just have to keep trucking along and keep providing that. But I truly believe if you had a new stadium, it would create a different aura because it would create a new place to be, right? And everybody wants to be in a new place to be and see what that is.
Yeah, last time I was at McMahon, there was more porta potties there than you see at Craven. And I'm like, what has happened here? Is there no more indoor plumbing at McMahon Stadium? But has it been that long since the 2009 Grey Cup? What is happening? All right, so let's chat about Saturday. Hamilton comes to town from both sides. What does Hamilton have to do to knock off the Riders? And then we'll go the Riders side. If you're in that coaching room for the Ticats, what's your game plan going to be to beat Mason as Rider squad this year?
I mean, you have to establish a run game, and that's the hard part because Hamilton doesn't run the ball very much. But if you can establish a run game to really soften up the defense and let Bo take his shots, I think that's the best way for them to win. And defensively, is Emilus back, or what is the firepower that the Riders have? Because right now, they're finding a way to win games, and it's a three-phased approach. Defenses create short fields; they'll get field goals, they'll get opportunities, but it's really hard for Sask to be consistent on offense without Sean Bain hadn't played a game this year. Emilus has been out. Schaefer Baker got hurt in the first game this year, right? So understanding when you're missing that type of talent, and especially Canadian talent, it's very hard to go out and be consistent on the offensive side of the ball. But I think Hamilton established the run game, and on defense, they just have to be able to put pressure on Trevor and make him make mistakes.
What do you got to do to I don't know if you can contain him. You can corral, because Bo's a cowboy from Texas. You can corral him. But then you also have Kenny Lawler to worry about. How are we going to attack the Hamilton Ticats, Nik Lewis?
Ooh. It's a high-powered offense. It's fun because it reminds me a lot of what we did in Calgary. Even seeing Keandre Smith, doing what he's doing. Other than Kenny Lawler, Tim White's still over there, who doesn't play consistently as well as he used to. But he still has those games where he'll come out, he'll put up 100 and something, and it's like, man, he had a game today, right? So they do have a lot of firepower over there. They use a lot of different packages. They got a 6'8" dude that just, he can come in, he can block, he can catch the ball down the field. So offensively, they have a lot of firepower, and it's very, very tough to stop. But I think that Sask will be able to get pressure with 4 or 5. Which really helps them out because then you don't get a lot of singles in the back end, and it won't put them in too vulnerable, right? You got to keep Hamilton in second and long.
All right, Nik Lewis on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Nik, thank you for doing this. I hope we can do this again before the season is out. This is fantastic. We love the insight. And keep in mind, now we have somebody to fact check Charleston Hughes' stories from the old days because we don't believe Wikipedia because he says he has more sacks than Wikipedia. And there's a lot of stuff we need to corroborate because we don't know if it's truth or fiction sometimes with Mr.
Hey, just let him know he's the second best. He's the second best sack master in Calgary history behind Will Johnson.
Uh-oh, that sounds like fighting words. Now I'm going to get a text.
They're tied at 99, too, in Stampeder history. That's the funny part. Huff traded Charleston when he's tied at 99 with Will Johnson.
Oh, man. Fighting words on the Sports Cage. Nik Lewis, thank you. It's time to take a break. When we come back, Erin Stankewich from the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame will join us to talk Labor Day Classic edition right here on the Sports Cage, on the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM. After hearing how impressive this is, he may be the clutch performer for the rest of the week. The Regina Thunder beat the Edmonton Wildcats 31-16. Peter Borscht had 310 yards rushing. I would say that's a good day. Once you hit the 200 mark, does the coaching staff say, should we take him out? Is he tired? What about a 250? At 310, was that a choice? Does the other team throw up the white flag and say mercy? Peter Borscht, clutch performer today for Nick Service. Welcome back to the Sports Cage. That was Nik Lewis. That was great. I hope we can have him back on. Just knowledge on top of knowledge. 15-year career. He's been a coach in the CFL. Talking trash about Charleston. That was great. If you missed any part of that, you can go back and listen to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, or sportscage.com. It's a busy show today. Let's go back out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. From the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame, Erin Stankewich joins us. Now, with the Labor Day Classic coming up in just a couple of weeks, there's a special date going on, but I think we're talking 1949 Labor Day Classic, and then there's film, and there's footage, and there's all this. I'm like, what? This is a really interesting story. Erin, first of all, welcome to the Sports Cage. I hope you're having a great day. And what have you guys been working on? Because as a Rider fan, I'm like, this sounds incredibly interesting.
Yeah, so at the Hall of Fame, we have a number of Rider material as part of our collection. And one of the things that we have is footage of the 1949 Labor Day meeting between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And we were lucky enough to, a few years ago, have digitized that film. And so we are going to be showing it with our partners at the Saskatchewan Archives, the Provincial Archives, on August 26th. So it's a great opportunity to learn about football in the province and what it was like to be a football player, what it was like to be a fan back in 1949 during the first ever Labor Day Classic.
Probably the first question that pops to mind, back in 49, is there any footage of anybody drinking a Pilsner in Section 28 at the old Taylor Field?
I'm not too sure. You'll have to take a really close look at it. Okay. We do have a dog that just runs onto the field at some point, so anything could happen, I guess.
Oh, very Saskatchewan. Now, when you come across this footage, you got to be like, this is a gold mine, because who would have thought back then that, there were, yes, cameras were invented, but it's not like obviously it is today to come across footage of the Riders and the Bombers, and you called it the Labor Day game, and we know it as the Labor Day Classic now, but that's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's so we were the official repository for the Saskatchewan Roughriders for many years. So we have a number of Saskatchewan Roughrider material. And this footage, it is unique. It's not a full game. You could tell that it's new technology, and we're very lucky that it's in color. So there's just chunks of the game, different plays, different things happening. So with this showing, we've invited two local historians, Rob Vanstone, of course, and Tom Fuzeshi, and they will be there to make commentary on the footage, explain a little bit about what is going on the screen. The play is different. There has been some changes, a lot of start and stop, a lot of quick kicks, a number of quick kicks. So it's really interesting to sort of see how the sport has developed and how the matchup has developed really over the years.
Vanstone's the best. I've never met anybody that is such a walking encyclopedia on an instant, can pull out something from somewhere, any sport, can remember date, time, players, names. He's just a great guy.
Yeah, he's going to be a great resource there. We have our Matt Gorley from the Hall of Fame will be moderating, and then Tom Fuzeshi, who's done a lot of work sort of studying Regina history. So it will be really informative for football fans and non-football fans alike to just sort of see how much the community has grown and how things have changed.
Erin Stankewich joins us on the Western Pizza guest hotline, the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. All right, so when is the event? How do people, if there's tickets, when to put this in the calendar? Because I know a lot of Rider fans. It's funny, we just had Nik Lewis on, and he talked about loving history. but people like the new as well. But for a lot of us, for Rider fans, we do love our history.
Yeah, it's taking place on August 26th at the Provincial Archives. So that is on Broad Street. And it is just free programming. Honestly, we just want to educate the public. It's both part of our mandate as well as the Provincial Archives mandate to, share history, preserve history. So, anybody can come, bring your friends, your families, all of your Rider fans. We also have some a display here at the hall as well to complement it on the Labor Day Classic. So we have some memorabilia from the 1949 game. And then we have some things from just classic Labor Day games over the years. We have, I think, Ray Elgard's, his orange gloves. I don't know if you're familiar with those. He had these glass cutter gloves.
Yes, the glass cutter gloves. Yes, Ray Elgard.
And he made some pretty important catches during Labor Day Classic with those gloves. So those are on display, as well as some kicker shoes so it's fun to celebrate. 60 years is really a great tradition, and we're happy to share some of that history with the people of Regina and Saskatchewan.
Erin, I can tell that you love your job. What's one of the best parts about being part of the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame? Outside of, yes, there's football, but there's everything. We have a rich history through many sports that spans people that have moved on and gone across the world. It seems like a pretty interesting gig that you have.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, we get to meet so many different people and learn so many incredible stories about how sport not only impacts an individual, but impacts a community and brings together a culture, brings together a province, and really sort of ties us all together in that Saskatchewan pride. And whether it be football or water polo or gymnastics, all of the stories have similar strains. It's about hard work, about being humble, and it's about being proud of where you're from. And so I'm very lucky to be a steward of some of those stories here at the hall, and that those stories are available for other Saskatchewan residents to discover through visiting our Hall of Fame or taking part in some of our programming, like this Labor Day Classic footage that we'll be airing.
All right, so everybody that we get on during the week leading up to a Rider game, we always get a prediction because it's called Sask Tell Pick the Score. You have to tell us who wins on Saturday, Riders and Ticats, and what the score is going to be. Erin Stankewich, because who knows, someone goes, I heard Erin's prediction, I think I'm going to go with what she said. All right, pressure's on. Who and how much? What's your prediction for Saturday?
I'm just going to say the Riders win. Let's just say the Riders win by.
I kind of figured you were going to say that. It's good for business.
Give me a number. I feel like my football math isn't the strongest, so I don't want to give a number that's not possible. So.
Erin's going 36-29 for the Riders.
Yeah, that is my guess. Exactly.
36-29 for the Rider. Trevor Harris is going to go off. He's going to throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's going to be a good day for football. Real quick, we'll wrap here. Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. If people want to come by, hours, locations, because there's a lot of apparently things in Canada that you can't do anymore. If you're traveling, like going into the forest, you'll get a ticket, but the Hall of Fame's open. So if you're traveling through Regina on the family vacay and you want to stop in, give the people the lowdown that they can make this a point to put it in their Apple phone calendar.
Yeah, we're at 2205 Victoria Avenue. So really accessible. We're in the Land Titles building next to the Hotel Saskatchewan on Victoria Avenue in Regina. We still have free admission. It's admission by donation. We really do just want to share sport history and Saskatchewan history with the public. So a great thing to bring your family and your kids around. During the weekdays, we're open from 10 to 4, and then on Saturdays, we're open from 12 to 4.
Nice. Erin, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. Best of luck with the event
so
coming up on the 26th. You can watch the very first Labor Day, we'll call it classic Riders and Bombers. A lot of things have changed, but I don't know if the hate from that team from Winnipeg, I think that's still there from so many years ago. It's time to take our next break here on the Sports Cage. Coming up, we'll go back to Mosaic Stadium, and Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, had a chance to catch up with Rider receiver who's having a breakout season. Joe Robustelli is on the Sports Cage next, right here on 620 CKRM. Well, kicks off tomorrow night at Curry Field. The Regina Red Sox will take on the Sylvan Lake Gulls. First pitch tomorrow night at Curry goes at 7 o'clock. Game 1 here. Games 2 and 3 will be in Sylvan Lake. It's Game 2 for sure, and Game 3 if needed on Friday and Saturday. Jays play the Cubs first pitch here in about 20 minutes time. The Alouettes have placed McLeod Bethel-Thompson on the 6-game injured list and signed former Argos QB Cameron Dukes on the ice at the Holinka Gretzky Cup. Canada beat Czechia 5-0. At the Canada Summer Games in Newfoundland, Saskatchewan has one medal. Leo Zhang picked up a gold in the 50-meter backstroke. It's been a good show today. Thanks for being part of it. Prairie Land Rentals text line 306-936-6262. We are playing Sask to help pick the score. So if you have a prediction for Saturday, first name, last name, and who do you think wins? And by how much? Some people texting in, not putting the name on there. Can't help you. What if we have Labor Day tickets? We can't give them to anonymous people. If I phone you from an unknown number, you're not answering. You're going to think I'm wanting a political survey, that I'm trying to sell you a lawn care service. It's late in the season, but they're still doing it. Or it's that timeshare thing from somewhere in the States I keep getting called about. It's $99. Listen, you can't do anything here. If you can't go into a forest on the East Coast, sooner or later, you're not going to be able to go into the mountains in Alberta. Heck, Suits has got bears living on his front doorstep. You're not going to do that. So, yeah, maybe a timeshare in Boca Raton is what the doctor ordered. 306-936-6262. It was day 2 of practice at Mosaic Stadium, and voice of the Riders, Dave Thomas, had a chance to catch up with a guy who's having a breakout season. What a find this guy's been, with what a incredible backstory. Joe Robustelli after practice today.
Receiver Joe Robustelli getting set for the Hamilton Tiger Cats this weekend. First and foremost, tell me, how big of a game is this for the Saskatchewan Roughriders?
Big game, man. Last time we came off the bye, we kind of came out flat and didn't play as well as we wanted to. But, we're coming into this week knowing that we got a good opponent that we're going up against us, and we're going to give them everything we got.
Is there a lot of chatter about how you came off the bye week last time against Calgary?
I think at the beginning of the week, it was like, it's obviously something that we're going to make clear. Like, that's not going to happen again. But, we do know what happened last week, or the last bye week, so we're just not going to allow that to happen again.
All right. Coach Mace was asked the question, the Regina Red Sox are going to the Western Canadian Baseball League Final, and he was asked, he got called for a pinch hitter. He believed he'd put you in because he thinks you played some baseball. Is he right to do that?
Smart man. He's a smart man. Yeah, I'd go in there. I think I'd go out there and bat maybe like 200. I think I'd be okay. I got some baseball experience, but no, I'm sure those guys are elite. But, I'd like to go out there and see what I could do.
Righty, lefty, what are you looking for?
I bat lefty. Throw righty, bat lefty. I was a decent baseball player, man. I had a torn labrum in my shoulder, which ended my baseball career short, but I was a decent ball player for sure.
Coach Mace is on the mark again. Thanks for doing this.
Of course, appreciate you, man.
I like it. Colson, Robustelli's honest. He's only a 200 hitter, but he'll go up there and take cuts. He'll swing wildly. Doesn't matter. He'll go for the fences. I like him because that's me. Throw righty, bat lefty. I golf lefty too. I don't golf well. Joe,
I didn't bat enough, so I don't really know which one. I think I bat righty and I throw righty, but
yeah. Robustelli, 200 hitter. Hey, listen, a lot of guys in the majors pulling big contracts, batting 232. So
if you need a bat, sometimes that's all you can ask for.
And maybe Robustelli, see, he's a big dude. Just walk up and lean into a pitch. Just get on base. That's all we need you to do.
Just get on base.
Buthakos coaches him up before the game just to be like, listen, you're a big kid. I watched you in batting practice. That's not your forte. So go in there, lean into one, get on base, and we'll move you along. Let's manufacture some runs. So if 1,700 showed up the other night to watch the Sox and the Berries, what are we thinking tomorrow night, game 1 of the finals? Sylvan Lake, Regina Red Sox at Curry Field.
I still haven't heard definitively if they do standing room, which I know it's a baseball game, so pretty much everyone's standing anyways. So,
because 1,700 is shoehorning in people, trust me, there's probably probably wasn't the most comfortable. But tomorrow night, how many are going to be piling into Curry Field? By the way, forecast, just a second here, 23 tomorrow night, decent, little breezy, 23 for around first pitch tomorrow night. Should be a great night for baseball. Oof. Well, pregame tailgate action there. Nice.
According to Wikipedia, and I have no idea how accurate this is, its capacity is 2,000. So maybe we'll see 2,000 there.
ReginaRedSox.com, official to get tickets. I know when we had Gary Bratzel on last week, he was talking about there was a bit of a crazy ticket thing where some secondary seller or secondary sellers had some counterfeit tickets that they were trying to pass off. Just website or box office walking up with a fistful of cash. Toronto Blue Jays here, set to take on the Cubs again. Last night, Jays beat the Cubs 5-1, marking their 70th win of the season. And they're the first team in the American League to reach this milestone. Ernie Clement hit a 3-run homer. Dalton Varsho chipped in with a solo shot. Jose Barrios pitched 5 1/3 scoreless innings, allowing just 2 hits. And the best part of it, the Sox and the Yankees also won. So that lead is 4.5, and I believe 6.5. Another hour in the books here on the Sports Cage. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by the voice of the Hamilton Ticats, Rick Zamperin, will be on the show to chat about the Ticats and Riders matchup this Saturday at Mosaic Stadium. Stick around for that. This is the Sports Cage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. On Saturday, the Saskatchewan Roughriders will take on the Hamilton Ticats at Mosaic Stadium, and that means the 620 CKRM Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network has countdown to kickoff Saturday morning starting at 10, the Rider Nation pregame show at noon, and Dave and Luke will have the call. Ticats and Riders kickoff goes at 1 o'clock, and we're pleased to be joined on the Western Pizza guest hotline by Ticat play-by-play voice. Welcome back to the show, Rick Zamperin. We got you in week 2. When the Riders went to Hamilton 28-23, but it seems ever since that game, the Ticats have taken off and been one of the hottest teams in the CFL. Is there a simple answer to what happened to the Ticats and what let them rattle off 6 straight wins?
I'm not sure there's a simple answer, and thanks for having me back on the show. I think the answer is they just started making a few more plays. And I know that's kind of cliche, but that's what a lot of the players and the coaching staff have been saying. Weeks 1 and 2 in Calgary and then at home against the Rough Riders, they were there in both games, and there were 3, 4, 5 plays in each of them, as is usually the case, that the Stamps and the Riders certainly made to solidify W's in those 2 weeks. And from then on, things just seemed to click. Hamilton got turnovers. They scored points off those turnovers. Bo Levi and the offense found another gear, which was kind of interesting. Kenny Lawler really exploded onto the scene. And then secondary guys like Keandre Smith and Tim White, just from an offensive perspective, had amazing games when Lawler was being double-teamed. The defense was not only creating turnovers, but then the offense was taking those turnovers and scoring some points as well. The offense has been lethal in the red zone, and special teams has been outstanding. Isaiah Wooden, unfortunately, is hurt with a shoulder injury, but he's been a revelation in his rookie season. Mark Leggio was perfect up until last week against the BC Lions. Punting the football, they've been great. Coverage unit has been awesome. That's why they won 6 in a row up until last week against the Lions.
The one word I'd like to describe it as in watching is that, especially on offense, everybody looks comfortable with everybody else.
Yeah, great word. I mean, and that says something because, this team added a few pieces. They lost David Beard, the center, to the Elks. Coulter Woodmansey, who was primarily in a backup role throughout his young career in the CFL, moved from that backup position to starting center. They get Liam Dobson from the Bombers. Brandon Reverberg is there at the left guard position. He's that, stabilizing force. The 2 tackles have been great. Barrow, Bordner, Murray came in and then unfortunately got hurt. That offensive line has been the biggest key, I think, to the offense's success because a much smarter man than me told me years ago that your offense is only good as your offensive line. And this O-line has allowed the least amount of sacks and has created some time for Bo Levi. And when he doesn't have that time, he has found a fountain of youth to hit that circle button on his remote, spin out of trouble, and find a target downfield. It's been great to see.
It's funny you mentioned Revenberg. I would have loved to seen him. Let's say he was a 10-year-old kid playing football. I bet you he played aggressively as a 10-year-old in minor football because every play all in. I love plays when he's 15 yards down the field manhandling somebody somehow in some play, whether or not it went to his side or not. I love a guy like that. He's got to be one of the clubhouse glue guys too, right?
Without a doubt. I mean, here's a guy who, in the off season has people at his house. They're studying film at 5 a.m. They're not practicing until 11 Eastern time. This is a group led by Revenberg and really Coulter Woodmansey and Liam Dobson, the 3 Canadians up front. Say, hey guys, we got to get on the same page and quickly. And they did that in training camp and certainly in the first few games of the season. Now they've really found their groove. And him in particular, Revenberg, perennial East All-Star, up for lineman of the year, it seems, year in and year out. Just a road grader. Like, he's pancaking guys. He's never stopping until the whistle blows, and it's awesome to see.
Bo Levi's reinvention. It was about this time last year where things were kind of coming off the rails with him and Scott Milanovic, and Bo was going to be out of the CFL, never to be heard from. And then a year later, reinvented. Renaissance is another word that gets used. The new Bo 2.0, all of that. We're watching it from 10,000 feet. You're up close. How neat is it to see the new Bo in action up close?
It's awesome to see, and not just because, we're part of the Ticats audio network and we're, rooting for the home team, but, here's a guy who's way on the wrong side of 30. He's 35. He's in his 13th, 14th season in the CFL, and last year at this time gets benched because simply he was turning the ball over too much. And head coach and offensive coordinator Scott Milanovic said, number one, his number one trait as a quarterback, he wants accuracy. Wants his quarterback to be accurate, wants his quarterback to move the chains, obviously eventually get into the end zone. And Bo was not doing that. And so they went with Taylor Powell. And unfortunately for Powell, he got hurt in his first start and Bo gets back in. And, the weeks after that, Bo and the offense caught fire. And, I remember asking him towards the later stages of last season, like, what happened after you got benched that, the light bulb went off or the fire, that was smoldering for so long, kind of reignited into this inferno of offensive excellence. And basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said, that was kind of the moment where I realized that this could be it. Like, this is my shot to get back to that elite status, to get back to how I was slinging it in Calgary for all those years, to get back to that future Hall of Famer kind of status. And he's found it again. And I think improving the footwork kind of really helped him. In the offseason, after he got hurt in his first year in Hamilton, he only played 6 games. He had the broken leg, and an assortment of injuries. And I think Marcellus Bowman, the strength and conditioning coach, and Bo got on the same page. And in that 2023/2024 offseason, he really kind of metamorphosized in his strength and conditioning and has come back even better, even stronger. So it's been fun to watch for a guy who we all thought, okay, that might be it. Come back and prove everyone wrong. And I think since his benching, he's been the best quarterback in the Canadian Football League.
I would 100% agree. On the Kenny Lawler front, prize free agent signing, I'm sure his agent had 9 offers in front of him. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to chat about this, about the why. Is it just money? I don't know if Hamilton's paying the most. Is it money in quarterback? Is it money quarterback coach? What was the rationale? Because it looks like a great move at the moment. Like, he picked the right spot. Any insight as to the Kenny going from the Bombers to the Ticats?
I think there's a couple things, and he alluded to one in particular that I'll get to in a moment. But certainly the money doesn't hurt. He's one of the highest paid receivers in the CFL, and deservedly so. He's a game breaker. He's a guy who can get in the end zone. He can look at all his intangibles and all his skills, from catch radius to just being an awesome guy in the locker room. I think first and foremost, he has a child who has needs in terms of, autistic representation, in terms of education and care and whatnot. And he looked at the services that were in and around Hamilton, notorious for, not only being steel town and gritty, but, a healthcare and education kind of hub for Southern Ontario. And I think that was one of the deciding factors among many, that he looked to say, this is not only for me, but this is also a move that my family can kind of take advantage of. And I think aside from what was happening off the field, or what is happening off the field, he looked at this situation, I think very similar to what Bo Levi did a few years ago. Leaving Calgary at that time and looking across the landscape and thinking, if I go to Hamilton, I haven't won a cup since 1999. I want to be one of those guys that brings that trophy back to the hammer. And I think that kind of was a bit of an allure for a guy like Kenny Lawler as well.
Hey, last interview I said it. This interview you said it. You brought up 1999. I didn't do that. I stopped counting. You know, like there's bigger things. Rick, we can't go in Forest. You'll get fined all sorts of money. I wasn't going to be dwelling on the fact that it's been 26 years since it's been a Grey Cup win in Hamilton, and this could be the year. I know when we chatted with you last time, I was on and on about how Katsantonis just being without Atunde Adeleke, who I thought was an undersized heavy hitter at safety. Is he the most feared safety in the league? Because to me, he's proved it so far through 9 games this season. Don't go over the middle because something's coming your way and you may not like it.
Yeah, he's a lumberjack out there. He's going to lower the boom time and time again, and he's a guy who's able to pick his spots as well. He's not getting flagged a lot. In fact, the Ticats last week did not have one penalty in the game. I can't recall a CFL team that achieved that statistic, but he's a guy who kind of sets the tone back there in terms of the physicality. He's got great leadership skills. He's been in that position for 5 years now, and when you have others around him too, like a Deshaun Amos, who's won a Grey Cup, a Jamal Peters, who's hoisted the trophy as well. Jonathan Moxey is so versatile. Destin Talbot in the secondary. Got a lot of talent there, and I think that allows Katsantonis a little bit of free range to do some of the things that he's really good at. And I think defensive coordinator Britt Monson is kind of keying in on a lot of the great qualities that a lot of the players have, including Stavros. So he's fit in more often than not in terms of setting the tone, creating some turnovers, offering the big hit, creating that fear factor in the middle, and a guy who's just easy to cheer for because he's got a great attitude as well.
I think if you're a football fan, it doesn't matter if you're just a second. Hold on a sec. Oh, there we are. Let's see. Live radio, folks. Sometimes phones going off. That's a fine. That's a fine, right? Rick, in football, is that a fine if your phone goes off in a meeting room?
Absolutely. That or 10 push-ups. Pick your poison.
All 10 at the same time? Are we talking? I don't have much of an off-season regimen. If you're a football fan, it doesn't matter if you're a Ticat fan. If you're just a football fan and you have a conscience, you felt bad for Tim White last week in overtime when he's fighting for extra yards against the Lions. The fumble happens. And BC, and that's what I hate about overtime like that. Just the gimme. It's like play 10 minutes. Let Hamilton try and come back and respond to that. That was a good football game. It was entertaining. Both teams battling back and forth. I hated it to see it end that way. You probably maybe lean a little on my side as that's a tough way to lose a football game.
Absolutely. And, you got to feel for Tim, there was good and bad in that play. Good that, he's trying to fight for yardage. He's trying to make a play. But in the other sense, it's bad because he has to know the situation as well. It's overtime. A turnover is an absolute, you just can't do it, especially in that part of the field where even if he goes down, they get another shot, whatever the case is, they're going to score some points, you would think. And so I credit the competitor inside Tim White to say, I want to get in the end zone. I'm going to get a first down here, or make get more yards. That's what the game is all about. In the other sense, he's got to know the situation and take his lumps when they come.
Yeah, that was tough because I'm like, Hamilton wins 7 straight. They come in here, and 6 out of 7 is not bad. So they're coming into Taylor Field on a heater. What are from week 2 to now? What are sort of those things that everybody knows the Riders, their front four is getting pressure, and Corey Mace plays that zone defense. And if everybody says if Bo can be patient and takes what the defense gives them and then go from there, to me, it's the explosiveness of Kenny Lawler, who has always played very well against the Riders, no matter what team he's been on, Bombers, Elks. He has been held in check, as you had mentioned, the past couple of weeks. But this, it doesn't take one 50-50 ball, and it seems like he breaks out and he's on his way. What are you expecting on Saturday out of the Riders?
I'm expecting more of the same. This is a well-oiled machine. They're tough on defense. They are explosive when they want to be on offense. We saw it in the last game against the Ticats. A.J. Ouellette goes 47 yards for a touchdown. Trevor Harris and Keyshawn Johnson pick on Destin Talbot in the fourth quarter and get the game-winning score. Roland Milligan with a pick 6 with a huge play. They just seem to make those big plays throughout the game that turns the tide, gives them momentum, offers them awesome field position, enabling them to put some points on the board or stunt the opposition from, getting back into the game, whatever the case is. They're just a well-coached team. They're at home. They're always tough to play at Mosaic, that's for sure. And the Ticats, it's going to be a tough test for the Ticats to come in here. The one thing is, Hamilton played 3 games in 12 days. That's a tough order for any football team. And I think that even though they lost against BC, they still have wind in their sails because of the way that they played in that game. Offensively, it wasn't a very good first half. The second half was an offensive fireworks show for both teams. And I think there's some room to tighten up, especially on the defensive side of the football. So I'm interested with, seeing how the chess match plays out and how the game begins and then evolves from there.
One of the most impressive things for me watching Hamilton over this past 6-7 week stretch, I've thought, especially since that Rider game, that the defense has gotten a lot better, playing more consistently, playing under Brent Monson's systems. It seems like they're starting. We always knew Bo can easily be Bo and strike quick and put it up there, but it seems like the Hamilton defense, those sort of gotcha plays from the first couple weeks are getting less and less, and it's a more cohesive unit, and I really think that, and Trevor with such a quick release, but Hamilton's been able to get some pressure and do some things. And you mentioned all the guys in the secondary that are Grey Cup champions and have a pedigree, that the Rider receivers who have played great this year, injury riddled, next man up situation, may have their hands full because it's starting to come together. Because Monson's under that disciple. He's from that Calgary tree as well that Mace came from and all of that and those philosophies and stuff. So that's the interesting match. It's the Mace-Monson sort of clash of the defensive minds I'm looking forward to.
One of the interesting things about the Ticats D in particular is, yes, they get pressure to the quarterback, and we've heard this the last couple of weeks. We're getting pressure, but we're not finishing the job. They're just not getting the sacks. And really across the league, sacks are down. But they're getting in position to pressure the quarterback to maybe throw when he doesn't want to or earlier than he wants to, and maybe that'll turn into a turnover. The linebacking core, especially with the introduction of Reggie Stubblefield. He missed the first few games because he was still rehabbing his ACL injury from last year. Since he's been added into the lineup defensively, this defense has, taken another step forward. He's been all over the field, and you're going to notice him on Saturday for sure, because he's been a guy who we came to know in Montreal being that dominant force in the secondaries, kind of that nickelback kind of, defender. Devin Verisuk, the rookie middle linebacker, has, taken his lumps here and there, but overall, I think has been a positive addition to that lineup. High motor guy, a pretty sure-handed tackler, and he's only learning as this season progresses. And a guy like Ray Wilburn has been really good as well, solid in his second season in the Canadian Football League and making some big tackles. So linebacking core is heads and tails better than what we had here last year. And if the secondary has their opportunities, they've proven that they can get a big turnover here and there. So defensively, it has been a huge step up from last season. I think each and every game this season, we've seen, a guy or two step up and make a huge play. So looking forward to seeing that on Saturday and, of course, beyond.
All right, we'll let you go. We'll wrap on this. Where and when can I set up Simone Lawrence's autograph session on Saturday with Rider fans before the game? Do we want to start at 10 and go till noon because of the crowd he's going to draw? Do we want to start earlier? How do we want to approach Simone and the Rider fans this weekend so they can interact and get together and rekindle that love affair that they've had for so many years?
I'm sure Simone would make all the time in the world for Rough Riders fans. We were talking about this actually the other day, and just, the toughest places to play or the most interesting places to play. And, aside from Toronto, of course, for any Tiger Cats player, which is just, crazy. He did mention Saskatchewan because the fans in Regina, and we know they come from all over, the province, they are just so hardcore. And he just was recounting how he had so much fun at Old Mosaic and, of course, New Mosaic, just interacting with the fans who would just throw all kinds of interesting barbs his way. So I'm sure the line would be long and maybe sometimes volatile in that line.
Rick Zamperin, safe travels to the motherland here, and have a great call on Saturday. It's Rick Zamperin, voice of the Hamilton Ticats, Riders and Ticats, Saturday, 1 o'clock. And don't forget, when the Riders play, you can get the KFC Game Day Special, the Big Crunch for just $4.95, and the Big Crunch Combo for $7.95 at participating KFC locations. The WCBL final starts tomorrow night in Regina. It's the Red Sox taking on the Sylvan Lake Gulls. Game 1, first pitch tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at Curry Field. The The Jays and the Cubs are just underway at Sky Dome in Toronto. The Alouettes have placed McLeod Bethel-Thompson on the 6-game injured list, and they've signed former Argos QB Cameron Dukes. On the ice at the Holinka Gretzky Cup, Canada beat Czechia 5-0. It's an off day tomorrow, and the playoffs will start on Friday. And at the Canada Summer Games in Newfoundland, Saskatchewan has one medal. Leo Zhang picked up a gold in the 50-meter backstroke. Welcome back to the show. Still to come, before we close things out for this Wednesday, we will hear from a couple of guys that have the impossible task of covering Kenny Lawler this weekend from the Hamilton Ticats. It's a big job. Tavon Campbell and Marcus Sales. Dave Thomas had a chance to catch up with them earlier today after practice. That's not an enviable task. A lot of other receivers, but they're going to go up against one of the league's best on Saturday. And, Lawler quietly, once again, having a good season, as we just heard Rick Zamperin, Hamilton Ticat play-by-play guy, say. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes, but right now it's time for the Junior Football Report on the SportsCage.
This is the SportsCage Junior Football Report with Dave Thomas.
The Prairie Football Conference kicked off with a full slate of 3 games last Sunday. The defending champion, Regina Thunder, opened the campaign with a come-from-behind 31-16 win in Edmonton over the Huskies. Thunder running back Peter Borsch was instrumental in the victory that saw the Thunder score 25 second-half points.
In the first quarter, it felt like both teams were kind of on their game and battling for control. And in the second quarter, we hit a bit of a lull. We were really playing up to our standard and just kind of had to find our identity again as a team that really likes to go to battle, and regardless of the score or whatever else is happening. Then we came out in the second half. Defense was fantastic. The O-line was playing lights out all game, and we just kind of started putting it together. And, we got a couple huge fumble recoveries as well, which really swung momentum around. And
the offensive line weren't the only things lights out. Borsch ran for 310 yards and a touchdown on 26 carries.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. And, again, can't emphasize enough how fantastic the O-line played and how they were just moving people around and making my job real easy. And, it really doesn't happen without being touched for the first 5 yards and picking up a full head of steam.
And he didn't have access to a calculator on the sidelines, so had no idea that he had ran for over 300 yards.
No, I had no clue, actually. Right after the game, I had, some guys were asking me, as well as my parents, and I kind of conservatively estimated that I would be around that, 220 mark. And, I had no clue where I was at. Honestly, I was too tired to try and keep track of that stuff.
Thunder head coach Scott McCauley echoed that the offensive line was good, but tipped his hat to his running back.
Peter did a hell of a job, finding the open holes, running north and south, taking what he could get. There was a lot of opportunities where he kind of got stopped, but then he was able to quickly adjust, and he must have great eyesight to find sort of the little openings and hit them hard. He was outstanding, and he definitely ran hard and broke through some tackles, which allowed him to gain even more yards.
Also in Week 1, the Winnipeg Rifles scored an upset 31-11 win over Saskatoon, and the Edmonton Wildcats topped Calgary 35-19. Week 2 kicks off on Sunday with Regina at Calgary, and Borsch knows what they need to do.
We're only going to get more and more comfortable with our systems and our playbook, and it's only going to expand, right? We're going to get more multiple and versatile. And as long as we're all just kind of, assignment sound and we're all on the same page, then we're going to be in control again.
In other Week 2 action, Saskatoon is home to the Edmonton Huskies, and Winnipeg plays the Edmonton Wildcats. And that's the Junior Football Report. I'm Dave Thomas.
Colson, it's Maz here. Assignment sound, and we're going to be on the same page. Is that a short-term goal for everybody here at the SportsCage as we head into the stretch run of the CFL season, that we're assignment sound every day and into our playbooks, and don't teach kids about gambling? Is that or if there's things we're working on?
I'd say so. I'd say all of us are on the same page except for one of our cohorts on one of those points, but yeah.
So if you missed it, Nik Lewis was on last hour, and at the end of the interview, he kind of threw Charleston Hughes under the bus. Is that the best way to say it? Because Charleston is impressive. He had 130 some sacks.
It's 130 some. again, Wikipedia isn't right. Wikipedia says 136, so I'm guessing he's missing 4 or 5 on Wikipedia. And Nik Lewis said he had 99 with Calgary, which...
Yeah, but he said Will Johnson was the best sack guy in the CFL. And I'm like, uh-oh, this is going to cause problems. Texts are coming in. He's trolling. I said, we'll address the disrespect the next time we have you on. Because I'm sure that there's a rebuttal there.
Oh, absolutely.
Could you imagine those two? Could you, like, those two? If you missed the Nik Lewis interview, he was great. Great insight. I love the Cody Fajardo stuff because he didn't shy away from what he said on Twitter. You can go back, you can listen to the podcast, subscribe wherever you get them, Apple, Spotify, or you can just go to sportscage.com, make it easy. We've got them all listed right there. In hour 1 of the show, we played the audio, and it's pretty funny. And we've had a few people text in on the Prairie Land Rentals text line, hey, are you going to do that Taylor Swift thing again? Or I only caught part of it. What is it? Travis and Jason Kelsey have a podcast called The New Heights. And up until this point, Taylor Swift has never been on there. They usually just talk to athletes. They've had a few actors and a few singers on there, but for the most part, it's just sports. Well, this week they had her on and it broke the internet. So let's do this. So here's Jason Kelsey introducing probably his soon-to-be sister-in-law. Do you think they're going to get married, Colson?
Wouldn't surprise me. I did see a clip where Travis is like, she understands me better than anyone I've been with because they both are so in the spotlight. So from what I'm seeing, things seem legit. At the end of the day,
okay,
it's not my business. It's their personal life, right? So,
all right. So here's the intro, and it's intense.
Our guest today is a singer, songwriter, and producer and director from Nashville, Tennessee. That's bullshit. She is from Reading, Pennsylvania. She is the most awarded artist in the history of the American Music Awards, Billboard Music Awards, and iHeart Radio Music Awards.
Yeah, damn.
She has 14 Grammy Awards. And as a fan of that guy on the Chiefs, she has 19 wins, 2 AFC titles, and a Super Bowl. 92%ers. Are you ready for it? Making your podcasting debut, the most aggressive guest in the history of shows, Taylor Swift!
That intro, Jason! Oh my God!
I've seen this before.
No, look, his soul has left his body.
I'm cramping. I'm cramping.
No, that was so good. Thank you.
I tried, Tay.
Thank you for screaming for like 47 seconds. That was so nice. That was so sweet.
Tay, welcome to New Heights.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on my favorite podcast.
See, the one thing I love about Jason Kelsey, he would instantly, within 0.5 seconds, fit in with Rider Nation. He would have 2 beers in his hand. He'd have a red Solo cup that somebody would hand him, and he would be shirtless and doing what within minutes. And that's why I love him, because he's very endearing. I'm like, he's every guy from Saskatchewan with a bit of a boiler on him.
He'd be invited and stashed in some like box somewhere and get into the box and go, why the heck am I not down there? And pointing at Pill Country and be like, no, I'm going down there. You'll find me there for the whole game. That's just where I'm going to be with my people.
Exactly. He would get a corporate ticket and he would say, sorry, corporate, you guys are nerds. I'm going to go down with the real fans and party. But the thing is, he wouldn't even make it through the parking lot. And people would be, for whatever they're sneaking in, being like, hey, man, let's have a drink. Man, I love you. High five. You'd be getting called the wrong name. But the beauty of Taylor Swift, and this is what I like about her, and this is what makes her tolerable, because she's a country girl. She started in country music, and anybody in country music to me is okay. It's when you go elsewhere, you're nuts. She has the self-awareness to know that people are sick and tired of her, especially sports fans. So play this.
As we all know, you guys have a lot of male sports fans that listen to your podcast.
Sure.
And I think we all know that if there's one thing that male sports fans want to see in their spaces and on their screens, it's more of me.
Self-awareness. Got to appreciate it.
Beyonce's not saying that.
No.
Mia, I was going to say Lua Dupa Leah. Anyways,
Dua Lipa.
That's what I love. Dua Lipa. And then there was the social media stuff, which is crazy. This is the crazy stat. So in the past couple days, or the past month on Instagram, they picked up a couple thousand followers because they're pretty popular, right? Mm-hmm. One plays in the NFL, one played in the NFL. They're everywhere. They're doing TV commercials. There's all sorts of stuff. Well, when it was announced that Taylor was coming on the podcast, they picked up 312,817 Instagram followers in 48 hours. Anybody that is out there slinging social media, trying to grow their followers in the base, if you put your chin in your hands and you just put your head down and go, all of that effort. How many people right now are pounding away on a laptop or editing something on their phone, hoping for glory that something goes viral? And Taylor Swift's going to be on our podcast, 300,000 people. That was a 15,000% increase.
Yeah.
Take that. That's not fake numbers.
The only time you see numbers like that is when somebody who is already famous makes a social media account and then gains 1 million followers in a day. That's the only time you see that.
Or something crazy like the couple that was caught at the Coldplay concert, that very first one that just, how's that going? How a month later, how's your life? Like, are you going, that was just bad decision making way before the Coldplay concert?
Yeah.
And once again, HR causing problems, not solving problems. All right.
Yeah.
When has HR ever solved a problem? Caused problems, yes. Solved problems, no.
Yeah. I heard a story that the company that they work for pivoted and did a little ad campaign that was not direct. Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. That wasn't directly calling it out, but like you could read between the lines and just increase their clicks even more. So kudos to the company for using their situation well. However,
so I saw this today. I'll try and put it in the chat here in just a sec. So people are freaking out. Sydney Sweeney, that American Eagle jeans ad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The lefty wackos are going nuts. She's a model. She's an actress, and she's modeling clothes for. That's been going on for 100 years. People are losing their mind, and the whole thing is called good jeans. Well, today I will get you this. Somebody took a picture of Gene Principe, who covers the Edmonton Oilers from Sportsnet, and he's wearing all denim, and it says "good jeans."
There you go.
We'll do that. We'll take a break. We come back. Hey, we promised you Tavon Campbell and Marcus Sales, the two guys that are going to have to cover Kenny Lawler this weekend. Riders take on the Ticats. We'll do that next. This is the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM. The Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation 50/50 is giving you the chance to win a Sparkling Hill spa getaway this week with flights to Kelowna, 2 nights hotel at Sparkling Hill Resort, and a couple's massage. Or you can take $4,500 cash. Entry deadline is tomorrow at 5, and you can buy your tickets online at riders5050.ca. Welcome back to the show. A couple programming notes. We got word Saskatchewan Roughrider President Craig Reynolds will be joining the show on Friday around 4 o'clock. We don't know why. I think I have a good inkling as to why he's coming back in. A couple of months ago, if you listen to the show, I threw out the idea if the Stamps can have the Stampede Bowl, the Riders could do the Pilsner Cup. No, don't show it now. Take that down. Take that down. If you're watching the street, let's take that down. We didn't mean to put that up. Did not mean to put that up. If you saw that, all right, I guess. Maybe it's a tease to go watch the podcast later. He could have just texted, but if he wants to come on the show and we do it in a public forum, I'm A-okay with that. So that's Friday at 4. Tomorrow, Sharky is in for Flooring Superstore. We're not fixing anything this week. If I could bring in my fridge to get the ice maker fixed, I would bring it in and maybe Sharky could do it. But I got a repair guy showing up at the house tomorrow. So we'll do that. And tomorrow's NASCAR report, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a little spiritual. And if you're easily offended, don't listen. If you're triggered by the slightest things these days, around 4:40-ish, dip out, take a break. But if you like traditional values and the way that things used to be done, tomorrow's NASCAR report is going to be for you. All right, with the big game coming up on Saturday at Mosaic Stadium, Kenny Lawler will be the focus of the Tican offense and the focus of the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense. And one of the guys tasked with covering him is Tavon Campbell. And Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, had a chance to catch up with Tavon earlier today after practice.
Tavon Campbell, 7-1 coming out of a bye week. You've been in this situation before. How do you make sure that you pick up right where you left off?
Just get better than we were before we went in the bye week. I mean, I think the Achilles heel is whenever you come out of a bye week, you're kind of complacent, kind of lax, and Coach kind of set the tone at the beginning of the week, coming out strong of what we need to do and what we need to accomplish to go where we need to go.
We in the media like building this up as a battle of division leaders. Is that what this is, aside from the records?
I wouldn't say that. I would just say it's a battle of two very good competitive teams that are going ahead today. And I think honestly all of our games after the next is going to be just as competitive and as strong as this one. So we're just preparing as if this is the game to make the Grey Cup.
I talked to Marcus Sayles, and he talked about the juices get flowing a little bit when the outside noise is about the opposing quarterback and maybe a receiver like Kenny Lawler. Does that filter its way into the dressing room as well?
Absolutely. I mean, we're not deaf to any of that kind of stuff. So we're human. We hear everything people say about us and what they say about the other team. But just like you said, man, it just gets the juices flowing. It gets you excited to play. It gets you excited to go out there and make plays and put it all on the line for your boys. So.
Obviously, if we're watching the game, we have to identify where Kenny Lawler is at all times. I'm assuming it's the same on the field?
I mean, they got a lot of good receivers out there. And him being the number one receiver on the field, we definitely got to know where he's at all times. But the game plan is the game plan. We got to execute. We got to cover everybody, cover everyone like they're 89 and, go out there and compete and win the game.
Can you become consumed with where he is and maybe lose focus, or is that not even an issue?
I don't think for us that's an issue, no. I think everyone on every part of the field is just as good as the next, so we're not too concerned of, he's at 3 strong or 2 weak. We know what we're capable of, and we know we're capable of making plays.
All right, the Regina Red Sox are into the Western Canadian Baseball League Final. You've been nominated to go in as a pinch runner. Are you okay with that?
Have I? Shoot. I guess so.
Would you pinch hit?
I'll do my best.
Lastly, I saw one of your former coaches here at practice today. What's it like having him come down and say hi again?
No, he came down and checked me out, but it was good. I seen him a couple weeks ago too, and he was my coach, my special teams coach back in college when I was a returner. He's like, "How come you're not out here returning?" I'm like, "Nah, I'll leave that to the returning guys." I took a step back from that after college, but it was good seeing him. Good seeing he's doing well. I know he coached at Campbell before, so he said he still loves the game of football, and that's why he comes out every day and watches the Riders.
And the coach was, we should tell everyone?
Alex Smith.
Absolutely. Tavon, appreciate your time. All the best.
Thank you.
What a good dude. That's Tavon Campbell. Just a great guy. I wonder how much his teammates appreciate him with all the experience he's had, CFL and the NFL, now back to the CFL. It's easy for us fans to tell what he brings on the field, but it would be interesting to know the presence that he has in the locker room. It's funny, Dave mentioned his partner in crime on the other side of the field. In case Kenny Lawler decides to switch sides, the guy charged with that is Marcus Sayles, and Dave had a chance to catch up with him.
Marcus Sayles, let's start with your coach, Lennon, who told us how impressed he is with you this season. How have you felt your season has gone?
I think I'm doing pretty good, but I feel like I've left a lot of things on the table. I've dropped some balls this year that could have been game-changing plays, and that's not like me. I feel like I'm always able to make those plays. I'm always in position to make those plays, and with the coaching that we've had and the players that we have in this room, it's easy to be able to put ourselves in that situation. So hopefully I can just continue to build on it, and hope lead this team to a great cup.
Well, Coach, you led me right into what Coach said. He said you've left a lot of things that are out there still. There's a lot of unlocked potential. What types of things aside from drop balls is he talking about?
I mean, honestly, it's just the totality of the game. Like, I feel like I'm always I have the ability to affect any type of play. Even if it's a run coming to me, if it's a tackle, if it's beating a block, if it's the ball's in the air, I always feel like I should come with the ball, or I should be able to make the play. And that's just the competitive nature in me. And when we have that competitive nature, it's infectious, and that's why you see everybody making plays. So we can continue that energy. We're gonna have a lot of successes here.
When you look at the outside noise this week, there's a lot of talk about Bo Levi Mitchell and Kenny Lawler. Does that get your juices flowing?
Yeah, I mean, I love being in the games like this. When you're going against, a Hall of Fame quarterback and, potentially a Hall of Fame receiver, you want to be able to put your best tape on display. So, I know they're going to get our best, and, we're definitely going to give ours, and, it's going to be a good game. But, as long as we, keep no explosion plays, and we keep the top down on our defense, that we feel like we'll be successful.
Obviously, they like taking those explosion plays. You have to be aware of that. Do you have to be more cognizant, though, of it over any other week?
No, we just got to play our game. I mean, we saw last week when we played Montreal, I mean, they didn't get too many explosion plays, and it was a completely different game than all the other games we played. So, I mean, if we can continue that success, we feel like we'll be in that same type of situation.
And if we're sitting watching at home on TV, we can identify Kenny Lawler right there, and we say, how did he get that wide open? You've watched his tape. How does he get open?
I mean, sometimes he's a great player. Sometimes it's hard for him or it's hard for other defenses to just say that you're just going to cap him up. I mean, his catch radius is everywhere. He can get the ball wherever you put it, and that's what makes him great. And that's when you got Bo Levi too, who can sling the ball 65, 70 yards down the field. It just makes it easier for him. So, at the end of the day, you do got to, cap his game, but at the same time, we just got to make plays.
There has been a little bit of talk about how important this game is to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Is it equally as important to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, or are there no such thing as important games until it's must win?
No, I mean, every week's important. I mean, we always preach we want to go 1-0, 1-0, and this is just the next game on the plate. But I mean, we know that they're top of the East, we're top of the West, and we know that the West is tight right now. So I mean, there's no chance of slipping or whatnot. We just got to make sure we stay head first and keep going.
Last question for you. The Regina Red Sox of the Western Canadian Baseball League have made it to the league final, but they need a pinch hitter. They're calling you. Will you go in?
If they need me, I tell you, I can do it all. I can do it all if you need me.
All right, there you are. It's Marcus Sales, Saskatchewan Roughriders, with the unenviable task of getting Lawler on Saturday when the Ticats come to town. That'll do it for the Sports Cage on this Wednesday afternoon for Regina Motor Products. Thanks for being part of the show. Whether you caught a couple of minutes or you've been with us since the start. And remember, you can always get it on demand, podcast form at sportscage.com or on Apple or on Spotify. And if you're watching the show on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe and throw up a comment. What a guest list we had today. Ticats play-by-play voice Rick Zamperin, Erin Stankewich from the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame, and CFL Hall of Famer Nik Lewis. For Colson Schultz, it's Maz here. Have a great night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow at 3.